In the distant future, humanity had spread across the stars, establishing colonies on numerous planets. The Earth, now a distant memory, was but a myth in many parts of the galaxy. One such colony, Theta 4, was a world brimming with factories and research stations. A bustling hub for technological innovation, Theta 4 was home to a diverse mix of species, with humans leading much of the industrial development. Amidst this rapidly advancing society, two worlds collided, one of steel and machinery, the other of flesh and alien cultures. The story begins at the Noxa Corporation, the largest manufacturer of automated machinery on Theta 4. Inside the sprawling facility, massive machines hummed and whirred, their gears grinding together in a constant rhythm of production. It was here that an alien girl, who had come to be known as Talyra, had found herself working after fleeing her war-torn homeworld. Talyra was not like the other workers at the factory. She was from a distant planet in the Andromeda Galaxy, and her kind was known for their tall, graceful forms and shimmering silver skin. With bioluminescent markings that glowed faintly along her arms and chest, Talyra stood out even in the most crowded rooms. The day started like any other. The factory floor was busy with the constant clamor of metal striking metal, the occasional burst of steam, and the low hum of powerful engines. Workers scurried around, their attention divided between the tasks at hand and the looming machinery that towered above them. Talyra, however, remained unfazed. Her kind had an innate ability to adapt to different environments, and after months of working in the factory, she had grown accustomed to the mechanical world that surrounded her. Today was particularly important. The factory was preparing for the launch of a new line of automated exoskeletons designed for heavy labor. These exoskeletons were intended to assist workers on dangerous planetary sites, allowing them to lift immense weights and withstand harsh environments. It was a proud moment for the Noxa Corporation, and the factory buzzed with anticipation. But for Talyra, today would not be a day of celebration. She was tasked with overseeing the final assembly of a prototype exoskeleton, a crucial project that had been delayed for months. The exoskeleton was massive, towering over the workers, its limbs adorned with intricate armor plating designed for maximum durability. Talyra's role was simple. She had to ensure that all the components were correctly installed and that the system passed the final diagnostic tests. But as she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. A strange, low-frequency hum resonated through the air, vibrating the machinery around her. Her instincts, honed by her species' heightened senses, tingled with unease. She brushed it off as the usual vibrations of the factory floor. However, she was unaware that the cause of the strange hum was an electrical malfunction in the central control panel. The malfunction triggered a cascading failure in the exoskeleton's programming, causing its mechanical arms to twitch violently. Talyra was bending over the exoskeleton's central joint when she heard a loud screech. Before she could react, one of the exoskeleton's massive arms swung toward her, its claws extended. The movement was swift and powerful, like a predatory beast reaching for its prey. Talyra gasped, stumbling backward in a desperate attempt to avoid being caught. But it was too late. With terrifying speed, the exoskeleton's arm slammed down just inches from her, the sheer force of its descent sending a shockwave through the floor. Talyra's heart raced, her body frozen in place as she stared at the mechanical claw, which seemed poised to crush her in an instant. Her breath caught in her throat as she realized that she had no escape. All around her, the workers were shouting, some running toward the emergency exits, while others scrambled to shut down the malfunctioning systems. But in the chaos, no one was in a position to help her. The exoskeleton's arm lifted again, its claw now aimed directly at Talyra. She had only seconds before it would come crashing down, the weight of its mechanical hand too much for any creature, no matter how strong, to survive. But just as the claw began its descent, a voice rang out. "Move!" The voice was loud, commanding, and full of urgency. It cut through the noise of the factory, grabbing everyone's attention. In a blur of motion, a human worker dashed across the floor. His name was Jack, a maintenance technician who had been working at the factory for several years. Unlike the others, Jack wasn't focused on the malfunctioning machines or the chaos unfolding around them. His eyes locked onto Talyra, and in an instant, he understood the danger she was in. Without hesitation, Jack sprinted toward the exoskeleton, weaving through the maze of machinery with a precision that came from years of experience. The workers watched in stunned silence as he reached Talyra, who was still frozen in place, her eyes wide with fear. "Talyra, get out of the way!" Jack shouted, grabbing her arm and yanking her out of the exoskeleton's path just as its claw slammed down, missing her by mere inches. The force of the impact shook the ground beneath their feet, sending a shower of sparks flying into the air. Talyra's heart pounded in her chest as she stumbled backward, her body still reeling from the near miss. For a moment she was speechless, her mind struggling to process what had just happened. Jack, however, was already assessing the situation. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice low but urgent. Talyra nodded, though her limbs felt weak, and her pulse was still racing. She had never felt such fear before, but there was something in Jack's calm demeanor that reassured her. In that moment, she realized that he had risked his life to save her, even though she was nothing more than an alien to him, an outsider in his world. I'm fine," she managed to say, though the words felt hollow in her mouth. Her mind was still spinning, trying to grasp the enormity of what had just occurred. Jack didn't waste time on pleasantries. He pulled her toward a nearby maintenance access door, his hand firm on her arm as he guided her through the labyrinth of machinery. The factory alarms had already begun to blare, signaling the imminent shutdown of the production lines, but Jack didn't stop. He knew the danger wasn't over yet. As they reached the safety of the maintenance corridor, Jack paused to catch his breath, his chest heaving with exertion. He looked down at Talyra, who was still in shock, her silver skin shimmering under the harsh lights. "You were lucky," he said, his voice softer now, but still filled with urgency. "That thing would have crushed you if I hadn't been there. I've seen malfunctions like this before, but nothing like that." Talyra's mind raced. She had seen her share of danger, but nothing like this. She had come to this world seeking safety, only to find herself caught in the gears of an industrial machine, a machine that had nearly taken her life. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice full of gratitude. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Jack gave her a small smile, though it was tinged with concern. "Don't mention it. You're lucky I was close by. We'll need to get to the control room and shut down the whole system before it gets worse."